Welcome into Texans Today. We have some Bills and Texans injury news coming up in just a moment. But before I get started, everybody was asking me, Jeremy, when are you going to do another Rockets watch party? I did the very first one of the year whenever it was Rockets Thunder. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. So I'm going to do one more tonight. Let's see how it goes. Rockets versus Cavs. Be there or be square. 6 o'clock tip-off. We'll be live a little bit before then, so make sure you tune in. And let's get into the latest Bills and Texans injury news. Coming up on today's show, some Bills injury news that might impact this game. We all know Davis Mills is going to be in for C.J. Stroud, but the Bills offense has quite a bit of injuries of their own. We'll discuss that. Also, the Texans claim somebody off of waivers, so that means they're going to be on the active roster. Who did they claim, and will they make an impact? We'll break all that down on today's show, but obviously, it's Battle Red Week, ladies and gentlemen, and if you love it when Houston wears those battle reds, because even the new ones, the old ones, I always felt like it gave the team a little bit of energy. It was just a little bit more juice inside NRG whenever the Texans don the battle reds. If you agree with me, go down and hit that thumbs up icon, because something about those battle reds got me feeling ready to go to war every time the Texans pull them out. If you agree with me, go ahead and hit that thumbs up icon. So first up, let's look at the Bills side, because we talked a lot about the Texans injuries. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, a lot of other people on that injury report, but haven't discussed a ton about the Bills injuries that could impact Thursday Night Football. Their last injury report came out today, and they have 3 guys that are out. Mecole Hardman, they have Dalton Kincaid, and Curtis Samuel. Also, Khalil Shakir did not practice all week. Personal reasons, though, so I think he should be good to go for this Thursday Night Football. But this is big because the Bills, they're already thin at the wide receiver spot and in terms of pass catchers for Josh Allen. So you take out Curtis Samuel, you take out Mecole Hardman, you take out Dalton Kincaid, which Josh Allen loves to go to those tight ends. Obviously, you know, Tyrell Shavers had a big week this past week for the Bills up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Shavers, Shakir, and Palmer don't exactly strike fear into me with this Texans defense and how they're playing. And I think when we look at the Bills injuries and we look at how it impacts this game, the main question I want to ask you guys at home is Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter a top 5 corner duo? Give me a yes, give me a no. Let me know your thoughts down below, because depending on how you answer this, depends on how you view this matchup on Thursday night for the Bills and the Houston Texans. I think yes, and I think because I'm typing my yes for that they are a top 5 corner duo, that means you can more than likely send more heavy blitz packages up against Josh Allen, make him uncomfortable throughout this game, and man up on the outside every now and then. You can send maybe 6 or 7 defenders towards Josh Allen's way and make sure you make his life a living hell, just like you did last year when the Bills came into town. And it was funny because actually the last time the Texans and Bills played each other, the Texans were wearing their other alternate jerseys, the H-Town alternates. So as you see the stats on screen, 9 for 30, 131 yards, a quarterback rating of 56.4. I think the fact that the Bills are kind of short-handed in terms of receivers and receiving options, that lends itself to this Texans defense to be able to get after Josh Allen, stop the run with James Cook, and get this defense on the right track to maybe give some short field advantage for Davis Mills and the Texans offense. I think if you can shut down the guys on the outside, maybe, you know, they've put Kamari Lassiter on and off into that slot position. That's where Khalil Shakir will more than likely want to line up for a majority of this game. If you can match him up, send a lot of, zero-man blitz where it's just man-on-man on the outside, everybody else is blitzing Josh Allen. You probably won't have to do that, too much, because you also have amazing pass rushers in Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. But if you want to send some extra pressure, get after Josh Allen just a bit quicker, I think this lends right into the hands of the Houston Texans and what this defense can do and how this defense can really disrupt this Bills offense on Thursday night. Now, coming up, I have some more Texans injury updates and The Texans went out and claimed a player. They added somebody to the 53-man roster. I'll tell you what they did and why they did it coming up in just a moment, but couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors over at Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks. Producer Xavier, he loves Prize Picks as well, and I know you will too. Get started today with America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather, it's a changing, but the feeling of being right, that never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's super simple to play. Just pick more or less on two-player stats. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win big time. For Thursday night, this is my lineup, and I'm actually using one of the new features that Prize Picks offers. It's called Stacks. That means you can pick one player, multiple projections. I'm going Nico Collins more on the receiving yards and more on the rushing and receiving touchdowns. Will Anderson Jr., 0.25 sacks. I think he'll be able to get Josh Allen on the ground. And then I'm going Nick Chubb more on 20.5 rush yards. Last week, the Bills let the Bucs run all over them. So 20.5 rush yards for Chubb. I think that's doable, and then I'm going less on the pass yards for Josh Allen. You can use my lineup that you see up on screen or make your own. Just do it over on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use that code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, before we get into the Texans injuries, Aaron Wilson, my guy, coming in with Texans roster moves. Unfortunately, the kicker that, won us the game this past week, Matt Wright, he has been waived. That means the Texans, they brought somebody in. Who did they bring in, Jeremy? It's Damone Clark, former linebacker of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, somebody who is out for the Texans this week, Jamal Hill at linebacker. I'm not sure how long of an injury that will be, but maybe a replacement for him as a, depth piece, special teams guy there at the linebacker spot. Now, we already knew two guys ruled out this week. CJ Stroud, Jalen Pitre, both out, still dealing with those concussion symptoms. But as you might have seen, Matthew Wright was waived, and that is because Ka'imi Fairbairn is back this week. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Ka'imi Fairbairn, our kicker, number 15, is back for your Houston Texans, who has been dealing with a leg injury the past couple of weeks, but glad to see 15 back out there on the field, and just in time because I talked about the game last year. Texans were wearing those H-Town alternates. You know how that game ended? On the legs of number 15. He hit a game-winning field goal to beat the Buffalo Bills. And can maybe that rerun itself? Maybe a little deja vu tomorrow as the Texans look to take down Buffalo once again and have a winning record for the first time during the 2025 NFL season. Now, there are some more injuries that we have to discuss. All these guys were limited throughout this week and finished on the injury report as limited. Will Anderson Jr. with ankle injury. Azeez Al-Shaair, knee and illness. Denico Autry, knee injury. Trent Brown, hand and knee. And then Tytus Howard, ankle and knee injury. And obviously, I think, on the defensive side, these guys will be good to go, just more precautionary. Trent Brown and Tytus Howard, not as sure on those guys, bigger dudes, but, if they're good to go, good sign for this Texans offensive line. But my big question is this. Who will the Texans start along the offensive line up against the Buffalo Bills? Because over the past 3 or 4 weeks, it's kind of still been tinkering, changing here and there, moving pieces around. This was the lineup that they put out there up against the Tennessee Titans as they did what a lot of Texans fans were asking, keep Trent Brown at right tackle and move Tytus Howard into right guard. Was that the best lineup for this Texans team? I'm not entirely sure because the Titans have a fantastic defensive tackle duo in Jeffrey Simmons, T'Vondre Sweat, so that really took that interior offensive line for a run for their money this past week. I think we see it running back again. I still think we put Jarrett Patterson at left guard. I don't know if they want to put Juice Scruggs in or not, but I think barring injury, barring Trent Brown or Tytus Howard not being able to go, we will see that same offensive line, and they got to step up and protect Davis Mills. Once again, the starter for the Texans tomorrow night as C.J. Stroud out for his third game with a concussion. And the more that I'm talking to people, the more that I'm hearing inside NRG is that if the Texans were to have played on Sunday this week, Stroud would have been a 50-50 coin flip, would have been more than likely had a better chance to play, but on a short week, not a lot of practice days, and just clearing concussion protocol or getting out of concussion protocol at the beginning of this week lended itself to saying, you know what, we're going to sit out CJ Stroud just one more game. He'll more than likely be good to go for this next week up against the Indianapolis Colts. And as I mentioned, your Texans are sitting at 5-5. They've had a losing record for the entirety of the 2025 NFL season up until this point. So, can they get in the win column and have a winning record and get back into this AFC playoff race? Because at the moment, they are sitting one game back of the Jacksonville Jags for the 7th seed in the AFC playoff race. Big game as the Bills come into town on a short week. We need a Texans dub this week, and we need them to come out and play 4 quarters of swarm football. That's all I got for you on our video today. If you made it to the end of the video, make sure to hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chugs. And reminder, I'm going live in just a little bit. Rockets, Cavs, and if you're an NBA fan, if you love the Houston Rockets, pull up. We're going to have a good time, have some more giveaways, have a fun time rooting on the Houston Rockets, and then tomorrow we'll be live for Texans up against the Buffalo Bills. Everybody stay cool. Make sure you hit that sub button, and I'll see you later on for Rockets Cavs.